They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But what happens when a billionaire serves it with a smile? This is the story of Victoria Chun and how she lost everything and gained so much more. The morning Victoria's husband asked for a second wife, she was sipping her coffee, $300 Ethiopian beans, flown in weekly, while reviewing quarterly reports from her 12 companies. Her net worth? $2.3 billion. His? Well, let's just say Marcus had a very comfortable life. Most people assumed Marcus was the breadwinner. He drove the Bentley. He wore the Rolex. He sat at the head of their mahogany dining table like a king surveying his kingdom. And Victoria? She let them think it. Victoria came from old money, the kind that doesn't announce itself. Her grandfather built a tech empire in the 80s, and her father expanded it into pharmaceuticals, real estate, and green energy. When she inherited the companies at 25, she was already a billionaire. That's when she met Marcus. He was charming, a mid-level marketing executive with big dreams and bigger smiles. He made her laugh. He made her feel normal, like she wasn't just a walking dollar sign. So she married him, and she never corrected anyone who assumed he was taking care of her. For 12 years, they built a life. 3 beautiful children, Emma, 10, Joshua, 7, and little Maya, 4. A sprawling estate in the hills. Charity galas. Family vacations to the Maldives. PDA meetings where Victoria played the role of supportive corporate wife, while Marcus talked about his business strategies. She funded his failed restaurant venture, his consulting firm that consulted exactly nobody, his sports car collection. She paid for everything with a smile because she loved him, because that's what you do for family. The staff knew, of course. Victoria's personal assistant, Margaret, had been with her for 15 years. She'd purse her lips every time Marcus took credit for something Victoria had done, but she never said a word. Loyal to a fault. It was a Tuesday. Victoria remembered because Tuesdays were when she approved the weekly household expenses. Marcus walked into her home office, their home office, with that smile. The one that used to make her heart flutter. Victoria, darling, we need to talk, he said. She looked up from her laptop, where she was in the middle of a $400 million acquisition deal. Of course, honey. What's up? He sat down, clasped his hands together like he was about to deliver a TED Talk. I've been thinking about our family. About legacy. About tradition. Red flag number 1. Marcus only talked about tradition when he wanted something ridiculous. I think, he continued, his voice oozing with practiced sincerity, that we should expand our family. Embrace a more traditional structure. Victoria blinked. You want another baby? Not exactly. He leaned forward. I want to take a second wife. If you're enjoying this story so far, hit that subscribe button. You won't believe where this is going. Trust me. The room went silent except for the ticking of the antique clock, a $50,000 piece from Sotheby's. Victoria had bought it for their 5th anniversary. I'm sorry, she said slowly. Did you just say you want a second wife? Yes. His face lit up like she'd just agreed. Think about it, Victoria. Many successful men throughout history. Many delusional men throughout history, she corrected, her voice still calm. Years of boardroom negotiations had taught her never to show emotion too early. Marcus stood up, pacing now, warming to his topic. Her name is Sienna. She's 26, she's beautiful, and she understands me in ways. He stopped himself, but the damage was done. In ways I don't. Victoria finished for him, still eerily calm. Victoria, don't be dramatic. You're an amazing mother and wife. But Sienna, she makes me feel young again. Alive. And in our culture. Our culture. She set down her pen very carefully. Marcus, you're from Ohio. Your family's idea of tradition is putting marshmallows in sweet potatoes at Thanksgiving. He had the audacity to look offended. I've been studying. There are cultures where this is perfectly normal. Respected, even. And legally, with the right paperwork. Let me guess, she interrupted. Sienna knows about what shall we call it? Your situation? She knows I'm married, yes. She's fine with it. She's mature beyond her years. Victoria almost laughed. Marcus, when you were her age, you thought Fire Festival was a good investment idea. His jaw tightened. I'm not asking for permission, Victoria. I'm informing you as a courtesy. As the man of this house. The man of this house. She repeated it slowly, tasting the words. Interesting. Yes. And I think it's time we clarified some things about our arrangement. about how this household runs. There it was. The real agenda. He wasn't just asking for a second wife. He was staging a coup. That night, Victoria didn't sleep. Instead, she sat in her office with Margaret and her lawyer, James Chun, no relation, though they joked about it. He doesn't know, does he? James asked, pulling up documents on his tablet. About the prenup clauses. About the everything. He signed without reading, Victoria said quietly. He was too excited about the wedding to bother with boring legal stuff. Margaret snorted. Typical. Over the next week, Victoria watched Marcus carefully. He was texting constantly, smiling at his phone like a teenager. He'd come home late smelling of expensive perfume, Victoria's own brand. Ironically, Sienna apparently shopped at the boutique Victoria owned. He started making demands. Victoria, I think we should renovate the East Wing. Sienna will need her own space. Victoria, can you increase my monthly allowance? I have expenses now. Victoria, maybe you should focus more on the kids and less on work. Sienna says. Ah, yes. Sienna had opinions about everything. About Victoria's parenting, her clothes, her attitude, all delivered through Marcus with that condescending smile. Meanwhile, Victoria made her own preparations. For a split second, Victoria wondered if she was going too far. Then she remembered his words. As the man of this house. No, she wasn't going far enough. She called a family meeting with her children. Emma, her oldest, was sharp as a tack. Mom, is Dad being weird? Define weird, sweetheart, Victoria replied. Weirder than usual. He keeps talking about changes coming and how we need to respect his decisions. Victoria hugged her close. Baby, sometimes adults make choices that don't make sense. But I need you to trust me, okay? No matter what happens, Mommy's got this. Joshua, her middle child, piped up. Is Dad getting a motorcycle? Because that would be cool. If only, kiddo. If only. Victoria also made some calls. To her board members. To her financial advisors. To the headmaster at her children's private school. To her mother, who laughed so hard she nearly choked on her wine. He wants a what? Her mother wheezed. Oh, Victoria. Your father always said that boy had more hair than sense. And then, Victoria called Sienna. They met at Victoria's downtown cafe. Yes, she owned it, though neither Marcus nor Sienna knew that. She bought it 3 years ago on a whim because she liked their croissants. Sienna walked in like she owned the place, all Instagram-ready waves and designer clothes. Labels Victoria recognized because she'd invested in half of them. Mrs. Chun, Sienna said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. Or can I call you Victoria? Since we're going to be sister wives. Victoria smiled and gestured to the seat across from her. Sienna, thank you for meeting me. Sienna sat, ordering a complicated drink from the barista, Victoria's employee, who she'd texted ahead of time. So, Sienna said, I assume you wanted to discuss arrangements? Marcus said you'd come around eventually. Did he? Victoria sipped her cappuccino. Tell me, Sienna, what do you know about Marcus's financial situation? Sienna waved a hand. He's successful, obviously. This lifestyle doesn't come cheap. Interesting. Victoria pulled out a folder. And what did he tell you he does for work? He's a business consultant. He runs several companies. Sienna said it with such confidence. Victoria almost felt bad for what came next. Almost. Sienna, I'm going to be very honest with you. Marcus doesn't run any companies. He doesn't work at all, actually. The last job he had was 7 years ago, and he quit after 3 months because his boss didn't appreciate his ideas. Sienna's smile faltered. That's not. The house you've been visiting? I bought it. The cars? Mine. The credit cards he's been using to wine and dine you? Mine. Marcus's monthly income is an allowance. From me. His wife. The actual billionaire. The color drained from Sienna's face. You're lying. Victoria slid the folder across the table. Bank statements. Property deeds. Tax returns. Everything's there. Oh, and that bracelet he gave you last week. Cartier, right? Yeah, I got the receipt. Charged to my American Express. Sienna stared at the documents, her hands shaking slightly. But he told me he was successful. That you were just a housewife who didn't understand him. I'm sure he did. Marcus is very good at rewriting reality. Sienna looked up at Victoria, and Victoria saw something shift in her eyes. Recognition. Embarrassment. And then, anger. So all this time, he's been using your money to date me? To promise me a life that isn't even his to give? Essentially, Yes, Victoria confirmed. Sienna stood up abruptly. That lying, manipulative, she caught herself, then looked at Victoria with something almost like respect. What are you going to do? Victoria smiled. Me? I'm going to teach my husband about consequences. You, on the other hand, have a choice. You can walk away now, cut your losses. Or, she paused, you can help me show Marcus exactly who he's been taking for granted. Sienna sat back down. I'm listening. The dinner party was Marcus's idea. He wanted to introduce Sienna to their social circle, to normalize the arrangement. He'd invited everyone, their friends, his college buddies, some of Victoria's business associates he thought were just Victoria's little hobby connections. What Marcus didn't know was that Victoria had had separate conversations with every single guest. The evening started innocently enough. Marcus was in his element, playing host, arm around Sienna, who looked increasingly uncomfortable. Victoria played her part perfectly, the gracious, slightly sad wife who was learning to accept modern arrangements. Then came the toasts. Marcus stood up, glass in hand. I want to thank you all for coming tonight. For supporting me, supporting us, as we embark on this new chapter. Some people might not understand, but true success means making bold choices. And I've always been a man who knows what he wants. Hear, hear, someone called out. Victoria stood up slowly. Actually, if I may. Marcus looked surprised, but nodded magnanimously. Of course, darling. I'd like to make my own toast. To bold choices. To knowing what you want. And to the importance of reading contracts before you sign them. Confused murmurs rippled through the room. Victoria pulled out a document. This is our prenuptial agreement, Marcus. Remember this? The one you signed 12 years ago. His face went pale. Victoria, this isn't the time. Oh, but it is. You see, everyone here tonight deserves to know the truth. Especially Sienna. She turned to address the room. My husband has decided he wants a second wife. What he forgot to mention to her, and apparently to himself, is that according to our prenup, any act of infidelity or attempt to marry another person results in immediate financial separation. The room went dead silent. That means Marcus leaves with exactly what he brought into the marriage, about $15,000 in savings and a used Honda Civic. Everything else, the house, the cars, the lifestyle, stays with me. Marcus's mouth opened and closed like a fish. You can't. I can. And I am. Also, Marcus, remember those business ventures I funded? I own 100% of the intellectual property rights. That clause you didn't read? The one on page 47? Yeah, that one. Sienna stood up. Mrs. Chun, I want you to know, I had no idea. If I'd known the truth. I know, Victoria said gently. That's why you're not the problem here. Marcus exploded. This is ridiculous. You can't just throw me out. I'm the man of this house. I deserve respect. Victoria's lawyer, James, stepped forward with security. Actually, Mr. Marcus, you're trespassing. This house belongs entirely to Mrs. Chun. You have 24 hours to collect your personal belongings. As security escorted a sputtering, furious Marcus out, Victoria turned to her guests. Well, that was dramatic. But on a lighter note, dinner is served. I'm told the chef has prepared something spectacular. The room erupted in applause and laughter. 6 months later, Victoria sits in her home office, no longer their office, watching her children play in the garden. Emma's teaching Joshua chess. Maya's chasing butterflies. They're happy. Thriving, actually. Marcus? Last anyone heard, he's living with his college roommate, working at a car dealership. He tried to sue for spousal support, but that prenup was airtight. He sends angry emails occasionally, but Victoria's lawyer handles those. Sienna? She and Victoria actually became friends. Sienna went back to school, got her degree in finance. Victoria may have helped with tuition. Sienna may be interning at one of Victoria's companies. She sends Victoria memes about terrible men. It's nice. As for Victoria, she stopped hiding. She stopped letting people assume Marcus was the successful one. She owns her empire openly now. And it feels incredible. The moral of the story? Never underestimate a quiet woman. She's not quiet because she's weak. She's quiet because she's calculating, planning, waiting. If you love this story, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you never miss an upload. What would you have done in Victoria's position? Let me know.